This is one of the biggest pitfalls that I have as a freelancer, as a business owner. This is the biggest, and there's nobody to blame besides myself. You'll learn that the hard way if you don't learn it from me. Hi everybody, it's Alex. Welcome to Guiding Creatives, the community for creatives, freelancers, and the multi-passionate. Today we're going to talk about working as a creative, specifically a freelancer, but honestly this topic can probably apply to anybody in any situation because it's a life skill that you gain. Today we're going to talk about boundaries, and we're actually going to go over the ones that I set recently, and we're going to discuss how they've actually really helped and how you can make this fit your creative career or your freelancing gig. Whatever it may be, set boundaries that make sense to you, but I hope this inspires you and you can also see the lessons I learned in each. So let's just dive right into it. The number one that I've probably said a lot on this channel or on this podcast, so I won't dive into it too much, but no contract, no start. If you do not have a signed contract that agrees on payment, if you don't have everything figured out, if you don't have all the requirements, do not start the project. You're going to take away time from other clients that are ready to get started, that will sign the contract, that will pay up front, yada yada. You're going to take away time from that. You're going to add stress to yourself. Don't do it, okay? I get that sometimes life gets busy and people can't get around to it. But if they're in that big of a rush to get the project started, they can find time to go over the contract, okay? You'll learn that the hard way if you don't learn it from me. My next boundary comes for payment, so I do 50% or 100% upfront, period. If you're on a platform, this might be a little bit easier, like I'm on Fiverr, so people have to pay upfront, it's in limbo, all that. When you're working for yourself or outside of a platform and you really only have like the legalities of a contract to depend on, you need at least 50% upfront. Do not work without seeing any money. Someone may feel a little bit uneasy about that, especially if it's your first time working together. You can also understand that from their point of view, but they should also be able to reach the compromise that 50% says, we're going to get started, and upon delivery and revisions, you get the other half. Make sure that's in your contract, make sure that's signed upon. If you can do 100% upfront, I recommend doing that. It really depends on the gig. For me, I do a lot of monthly management or like weekly growth coaching, consulting, so it doesn't make sense for me not to get paid upfront. But I get that if you had to like deliver a graphic design at the end of something, that maybe that makes more sense to get some at the end, but don't start with nothing. Another that kind of goes into payment and scope creep, as we spoke about, is no free extras. I know you want to be nice and do the nice thing, and we often confuse setting boundaries as not being nice. That's something I'm struggling with anyway. No free extras, okay? If somebody wants something, say this is how much it is. If they can't afford it, then maybe you can talk about a compromise and how you can reach that compromise, but don't just throw in extras. Extras are extra. You're going to take more time to do it. You're going to take more brain power. You're taking more of your life away to do this for somebody. They should pay for it. The next boundary has to do with revisions, and that is 2 revision rounds. Anything after that you pay for. I don't just give one because I do find, especially when a lot of your conversation is over text, email, even if it is a call or Zoom once in a while, it's kind of hard to really nail down what you need to revise or how to get their vision. So I really do like to offer 2 just in case, but after 2, you have to pay for it, because if we're just being nitpicky at little things, you have to be able to loosen the reins a little bit. That's the hardest thing. People need to be able to loosen the reins if they're not going to do it themselves, and they can pick something apart and keep finding something wrong with it if they want. But this also has to apply to people who request really big changes, because some people will run with it and just get you to redo the whole thing. No, okay? Don't do that to yourself. It's going to cost you. Please learn from me. This is the biggest one that I've learned recently, and it's a boundary you can set at a certain stage in your career. I don't necessarily think everybody has to have this right out the gate, but I don't offer rush jobs. So I used to offer for like double the price. You can order and I would get it to you in 24 hours. I then actually bumped it down to, you can pay for a rush job and I'll give it to you within a certain time frame, which was shorter, but not 24 hours. It still bit me, okay? When you have enough flow of work and you're also trying to work on your own projects and do business behind the scenes, rush orders have no place, okay? It will stress you out. I was in a crunch time for a big order, and then I had somebody order a huge order for a 24-hour delivery. And it was just crazy, and it was nobody's fault but my own, because I'm offering it. If they're going to pay for it and I offered it, I have to do it. So don't get into that trap. If you are looking for making a quick buck, you have a lot of free time, maybe someone says, I really need this done in a quick amount of time, then you can offer that and go ahead and do it. But I don't recommend doing it unless it's very available to you. I know it can be tempting with the money, but not everything is about the dollar signs. This boundary is something I've set recently, and it comes from probably a privileged place as a freelancer. So if you don't have the availability to do this right now, make it a goal. But you need to move all of your contact info, all of your access to work onto a work phone. This, I cannot even tell you how monumental this has been in my life. Before I had my work phone, I would try to separate myself. I would go out for a walk, but I would look on my phone, I would get a notification, and then I turned off notifications. I would find myself checking the apps. I removed the apps from my home screen. I found myself still going to the apps and looking. It was such a habit that I could not break free from it, and it was so tempting. So now I have a work phone, my personal phone. I don't have Fiverr on it. I don't have my work emails on it. Nobody has that number. Nobody can contact me there for work. If I don't take my work phone and I don't have my laptop, it doesn't exist to me. If you let notifications run your life, even when you can't see them, that's a problem. If you let notifications run your life because you're always checking them, that's a problem. You have to separate yourself. Maybe you keep everything on your computer. Maybe you have the willpower not to check. But for me, I had to actually move everything to a work phone so I can physically put that barrier up. This next one also comes from a privileged place and something you can work towards, but I no longer offer discounts unless you are a nonprofit or there's a big compromise. I used to do discounts all the time, and it was good when I was trying to build reviews, a portfolio, and hone my skills, but I'm at a stage now where I know the work I'm putting in, I know the hours, I know the quality, I know the value, I know the deliverable, I know everything. So me giving a discount doesn't make sense unless I'm getting something in return. I do discounts for nonprofits because I like to contribute to whatever they're working towards. And if somebody comes to me with a budget and we can make it smaller, we can change it so it's easier on me, maybe there's a much longer delivery date. If we can do something so that it's also a compromise for me, I'll consider it. But I'm just not offering it. I have enough clients and client requests now that I don't need it. So when you reach that point where you don't really know why you're doing discounts, don't offer discounts. And sometimes people will just ask to see. It doesn't hurt to ask, and you just say, no, I can't do that right now. I usually just say, hey, I'm at capacity. I can't offer a discount right now. Let me know if you're still interested. And then usually they still are. Another boundary I set is if there is no clear project process, if there is not a checklist with due dates, if there is not a clear thing that you can just take and go work on and deliver as scheduled, charge hourly. This is the biggest boundary that I've had to set because I have so many people who try to demand my free time and control my hours when I just have a project to work on. You're not my only client. You're paying me per project. I'm going to deliver as delivered. I'm not going to be instructed to do something at a certain time. I'm not accessible 24/7. If you want that from me, you have to pay hourly. That, I'm telling you right now, I'll go into a full video about that, but that will save you so much headache. This boundary also kind of complements the work phone, but it's something anybody can do. Don't check your emails or notifications outside of scheduled times. Something I caught myself doing was I would be doing a task that I knew took about an hour. It would take me forever. And I was like, why? What am I doing differently? And it was because I would let notifications and emails come in. I would check them, and then I would have to formulate an answer. And sometimes it's you have to attach something, or you have to show them something. You have to screen record and show them something. Something happens, and it just derails you, and it also takes your time. I set times in the morning, afternoon, evening, and then before I go to bed to check all that. And outside of that, you're not hearing from me. I'm not looking at it because I physically cannot. This next one that I only started doing recently, and this is the one that, I don't know, it gives me kind of a bad feeling in my chest. I feel like a bad person, but that's in my head. You're not a bad person if you do this. That's just me being silly, but I want to be real about that because I know there's other people who are introverted or kind of have that people pleaser syndrome and feel the same way. So I just want to let you know you're not alone in this, but I do not take spontaneous calls. If you don't like booking stuff in the calendar, if you don't like booking in advance, and you just want to call me when it's convenient for you, I'm not doing it. That's not how I work. And I'm not doing it. I'm not pushing myself to be this easygoing person. I have a schedule. My free time, I look at that each week, and then I block out time to do other projects or time to start something or time to do something. If I have free time and you don't request a meeting so that I can move stuff around, I'm not calling you. So many times I would ask someone their availability and they would say, let's do it now. Just anxiety. And I can't do that. So what I started doing was, my simple response is, here's my calendar, I have my calendar, here's some available times. If for some reason none of these times work, let me know your availability and I'll see what I can do, but book something in, period. And sometimes people don't respond well to that. And not that they don't respond well, they just choose not to respond. And other times people book in. I'm done feeling guilty about wanting to have some structure in my life. I'm done feeling guilty about wanting to have control over my free time. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel about that one. You can tell it's bothering me, hey. This is another one that I've started recently, is no meetings on Mondays and none on Fridays. So if you are in a position where you can say no to 2 days, do it. Definitely do 1 day. Or even maybe it's all mornings. Maybe you don't do meetings in the mornings. I will, however, caution that one, because when you're a creative or a freelancer, or you're just working in this global gig economy, people from all around the world are working with you. Time zones exist. I have clients, I have, co-workers, I guess you would call them. I have people who I hire who are in very different parts of the world. Like, I have people in British Columbia, I have people in Australia, I have people in between, I have people everywhere. That doesn't work for everybody. It's not really a good rule if you want to have a global impact or a global collaboration. So I do days. I don't do Mondays, because what I found is if I do a meeting on a Monday and my Mondays fill up pretty quick, then I don't get to really sit down and plan my week or get started on my week. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is always crazy. So then by the time I'm caught up, it's Friday and I have to get ready for the next week, and Monday's already booked up again. It's just too much. So I don't do Mondays. Fridays, I try not to do. I will say I'm a little bit more lenient, because if something gets pushed and Friday is the only option, I would rather have open space and do it Friday than squeeze it into an already busy day. But if I cannot do it Friday, I'm a freelancer. That's what I freelance for. Freedom. I freelance to have the ability to do that. I only recently started doing no meetings on weekends. And now I'm like, you know what? I deserve that Friday. And I deserve that Monday. It doesn't mean I'm not working. It just means that I'm not getting on camera. I'm not answering the call. And it also helps me control how many clients I'm taking on, because there's only so many hours for work and there's only so many hours for meetings on Wednesday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Why did I say it like that? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Anyway, this last boundary that you will work towards, and you will be so thankful when you reach this place in your career. But this is where I am more choosy about the projects I work with. I love a challenge. I love doing new niches. I love doing new things. I love when people are passionate about something and I can help in any type of way. However, there are certain types of work that are cash grabs, I'll say, that I'm not interested in doing. I personally haven't had success with it because there's high expectations, because there's no passion behind it. It's, I'm pumping money into this, make it pump money back out to me. And now, some creative pursuits have the same expectation, but there's that line of passion that keeps things going even when it's hard. And because I do organic growth, I do long-term SEO work with my clients, I am not a cash grab girly, okay? You can't hire me to do cash grab work because I'm not passionate about it. I'm not going to pretend that I can get it to you quicker. I'm not going to pretend it's going to work. I like when people are trying to learn so they can grow their passion, as opposed to people who want to replicate what they've seen before so they can make money. And I'm learning to differentiate that with my clients and my questionnaires, and I'm in a position where I can choose that now. And I'm happy for it. I'm glad. but I wasn't always in that position, and it was very draining. So although I know that's not something everybody has access to in terms of a boundary, work towards it. Those are all my boundaries for today. Take what you need, leave what you don't. If you want to leave a comment on one you are wondering about, or you want me to try, or you love and you want the community to know, feel free to leave a comment. I will make another video because I'm sure as I evolve and scale, these boundaries are going to change again. But the point of this podcast, the point of these videos is for you to learn from me. You know, I've made a lot of mistakes, I've had a lot of headaches, I've had a lot of late nights. Learn from me. And in the meantime, stay creative. Bye. Also, thank you for being patient with me. I sprained my thumb. I will try to be more consistent. Big things are coming.